The alien diplomatic fleet arrived at Earth with confidence. Their ships were white and gold, smooth and ceremonial, marked with symbols of peace and authority. No heavy weapons. No battle formations. This was not a war visit. This was a message. They believed humanity was ready to listen. From the bridge of the lead vessel, the alien envoys watched Earth rotate below them. Blue oceans. Green continents. A fragile-looking world. Beautiful but small. Young. Humanity had been watched for centuries. Studied quietly. Labeled as ambitious, clever, but limited. A species that fought itself more than it fought others. A species that never reached far enough, fast enough. The Alliance believed it was time to step in. Their plan was simple. Offer protection. Offer guidance. Take control of key resources and space routes. Keep humans peaceful. Keep them useful. The diplomats expected excitement. Fear. Maybe even a celebration. Instead, Earth said nothing. No greeting signal. No defense fleet. No communication at all. Minutes passed. Then more. The alien officers exchanged looks. This was unusual, but not alarming. Many young species delayed responses out of confusion or internal debate. The diplomats waited patiently, certain that silence meant uncertainty. Then the sensors spoke first. A low alert echoed through the bridge. Not an alarm, just a quiet system warning. An energy fluctuation had appeared near the far side of the moon. The lead envoy frowned. The reading was strange. Large. Dense. Too clean to be natural. They ordered a scan. The result made no sense. Mass readings spiked beyond known limits. Gravity around the moon began to bend slightly, like space itself was holding its breath. The diplomats assumed it was a human experiment. Primitive, maybe dangerous, but harmless. Then the moon's shadow changed. Stars vanished behind it. Not because the moon moved, but because something else did. Slowly, silently, something massive began to rise. The alien bridge grew quiet. What emerged was not a station. Not a ship in any known sense. It was a wall of metal and shadow, black against the stars, stretching wider than the moon's horizon. It did not glow. It did not reflect sunlight. It swallowed it. Sensors screamed now. Power levels spiked so hard that several systems shut down to protect themselves. Gravity waves rolled outward, shaking the diplomatic ships despite the distance. Someone whispered a single word over the comms. Impossible. The structure kept rising. Layer after layer revealed itself. Thick armor plates scarred by age, not rusted, but burned smooth by weapons long forgotten. Vast weapon ports sat closed along its sides, each one larger than entire alien cruisers. This was not a defense platform. This was a warship. The Alien Alliance had records on every known human vessel. Patrol ships, exploration craft, defense fleets. None matched this. Not even close. The diplomatic fleet tried to pull back. Engines hesitated. Navigation systems flickered. The massive object had not fired, had not targeted them. Yet its presence alone bent space enough to interfere with their technology. The envoy demanded immediate contact with Earth. At last, a signal came through. Clear. Calm. Humans. This is the United Earth Defense Authority, the voice said. You are inside a restricted zone. The diplomats almost laughed in relief. This was still negotiable, still manageable. The envoy responded quickly, formally. They announced their peaceful mission, their desire for dialogue, their authority as representatives of a galactic alliance far older and stronger than humanity. The human voice did not interrupt. When the envoy finished, there was a pause. Then the human spoke again. You were not invited. The words were not angry, not threatening, just final. The diplomats began to object. That was when the warship moved. Not forward, not toward them. It simply adjusted its orientation. A small motion, but the result was terrifying. As the ship turned, its full size became clear. It was longer than the distance between Earth and the moon. Its spine was lined with structures that looked like cities welded to a blade. This was not built quickly. This was not built in secret by accident. This was built with purpose. The diplomats realized something too late. Humanity had not been quiet because it was weak. It had been quiet because it did not want to be seen. A new signal burst from Earth, broadcast on all channels. This vessel is classified, the human voice said. Designation, Titan class. Several alien officers froze. That term existed in old, forbidden archives. Theoretical only. a ship type considered unnecessary, excessive, and dangerous to galactic balance. No species was ever confirmed to have built one. Until now, the human continued. It has not been activated in over 300 years. The diplomats felt cold. If you remain, the voice said, you will witness a system test. The envoy tried to order a retreat. The engines failed. Not shut down, just denied. The Titan did not lock weapons. It did not fire. Lights awakened along its surface, deep red, slow and steady, like a giant opening its eyes after a long sleep. The space around it grew quiet. Too quiet. The diplomats understood the truth at that moment. They had not come to claim humanity. They had come too close to something humanity kept buried. And the Titan-class warship had finally risen to remind the galaxy why. The ship's core flared to life. And Earth was still not afraid. The Titan did not fire. That was the first thing that confused the alien diplomats. The warship loomed between Earth and the stars, its vast body fully revealed now. A black monolith etched with scars that no modern weapon could have made. Yet it remained still. No targeting beams. No weapon cycling. No aggressive movement. Just presence. On the alien flagship, emergency crews struggled to stabilize systems. Navigation flickered. Artificial gravity pulsed unevenly. Several sensor arrays had burned out the moment the Titan's core reached full output. The envoys demanded answers. What is happening to our ships? One officer shouted. We are under attack without impact. Their science teams worked in panic. Readings poured in faster than they could process them. The Titan was not jamming signals. It was not hacking systems. It was not emitting radiation in any known pattern. Instead, it was changing the rules around it. Space-time itself bent slightly in the ship's shadow. Not enough to tear ships apart, but enough to make engines misfire and computers hesitate, as if reality no longer fully agreed with their commands. This isn't a weapon system, one analyst said quietly. This is environmental dominance. The lead envoy felt something unfamiliar tighten in his chest. Fear. He had negotiated with warlords and machine empires. He had stared down species that devoured stars. But all of them had one thing in common. They wanted to be seen. This ship did not. Earth's signal returned, steady and calm, as if nothing unusual was happening. You are experiencing passive field effects, the human voice said. They are not directed at you. Then deactivate them, the envoy demanded. You are interfering with a diplomatic mission. Another pause. We cannot, the human replied. The Titan cannot exist without them. That sentence echoed through the alien bridge. Cannot exist. Not operating. Not fight. Exist. The alien alliance prided itself on knowledge. On understanding how the universe worked. Civilizations rose and fell, but physics remained loyal. Until now. What is that vessel? The envoy asked, forcing control into his voice. The answer did not come from Earth immediately. Instead, the Titan itself responded. A low-frequency transmission rippled outward, not words, not images, but data, dense, layered, and ancient. The alien ships struggled to decode it. Their systems were never designed to interpret something this old. But fragments came through. Construction timelines measured in decades. Energy budgets equal to small stars. Materials engineered at atomic levels unknown to most modern species. And dates that did not match humanity's known technological rise. The aliens stared at the numbers. This ship predates human first contact, one officer whispered. By centuries, another added. The envoy turned slowly toward the planet below. Earth rotated peacefully, clouds drifting over continents that looked untouched by cosmic war. How, he asked aloud. How did they build this, without anyone knowing? The answer arrived at last. Humanity spoke again. You watched us, the human voice said. But you did not see us. The diplomats bristled. They had observed Earth for generations. Catalogued human wars. Measured industrial growth. Tracked satellites and fleets. Humanity had been loud in its early years. Chaotic. Violent. But then quieter. We withdrew. The human continued. After our first true war beyond our system. No record of such a war existed. The alien database confirmed it instantly. Because we erased it, the human said, as if hearing their thoughts. From your networks. From our own public memory. The bridge fell silent. The idea was unthinkable. No species erased its greatest war. Wars were lessons. Warnings. Proof of survival. Unless remembering it was too dangerous. The Titan was not built to conquer, the humans said. It was built because something nearly erased us. The diplomats demanded clarification. The human voice did not raise, did not dramatize. It came without warning. No diplomacy, no demands. It did not communicate. It was harvested. Images streamed through the alien systems now. Partial, degraded, but horrifying. Human colonies burned. Fleets shattered before firing a shot. A darkness moving through space like a storm. We survived, the humans said. Barely. Silence followed. And you built this? The envoy asked, staring at the Titan's outline. Yes. The alien science teams were shaking. To fight them? One asked. No, the human replied. To stop them. The distinction mattered. The envoy realized something chilling. If the Titan was built to stop an enemy worse than anything the galaxy had faced, then the galaxy had been living on borrowed time. The Titan shifted again. Not aggressively. Precisely. Sections along its hull separated slightly, revealing layers beneath. Internal structures, massive conduits, dormant systems beginning to awaken. Power levels climbed again, and this time, the alien ships felt it in their bones. This is still a passive state, the human voice said. You are witnessing only stabilization systems. Stabilization. The diplomats could barely breathe. One officer whispered, "What happens when it enters active mode?" The human paused longer than before. You do not want to see that. The envoy made a decision. He ordered all diplomatic protocols suspended and requested immediate withdrawal clearance. Earth responded instantly. Denied. The alien officers erupted in protest. You cannot hold us here, the envoy shouted. This is an act of hostility. No, the human replied. It is containment. The Titan's fields intensified slightly, not enough to damage, but enough to make escape impossible. You approached our home, the human continued. You entered our space. You attempted to claim authority over our future. The envoy tried a different approach. We came in peace, he said. We did not know. That, the human said softly, is the problem. The Titan's surface lights shifted from red to deep amber, spreading across its hull like a slow sunrise. Deep within the ship, something ancient finished waking. Across the galaxy, distant sensors flickered as if something massive had just taken a breath. The diplomats realized this moment would be remembered, not as a battle, but as a revelation. Humanity had never been behind. It had simply been waiting. And now that it has been seen, the galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. The Titan's core stabilized, and the system entered a new phase. The galaxy did not learn about the Titan all at once. Information leaked the way fear always did, slow at first, then everywhere. Long-range observers at the edge of the Sol system detected gravitational distortions they could not explain. Merchant relays reported brief communication blackouts. Ancient monitoring stations, abandoned by civilizations long dead, quietly reactivated as if responding to a forgotten signal. Something fundamental had changed. Inside the alien diplomatic fleet, panic was no longer hidden behind protocol. Officers spoke openly now, voices sharp, movements rushed. This mission had already gone far beyond embarrassment. It was becoming dangerous. The envoy stared at the Titan through the main viewport. It had not moved again. It did not need to. The ship dominated space the way a mountain dominated land, not through action, but inevitability. Smaller alien vessels looked fragile beside it, like insects hovering near a storm. What phase are we in? The envoy asked. The question was directed at Earth. The human response came without delay. You are in the observation window, the voice said. It will not last long. Observation of what? The envoy demanded. Of truth. The Alien Alliance's Central Council was already transmitting. Emergency channels opened, flooding the flagship with overlapping voices. Leaders demanded explanations. Scientists demanded data. Military commanders demanded contingency plans. None of them liked the answers. Humanity released another controlled data stream. Not history this time, but context. Maps of galactic expansion. Timelines of wars long forgotten. Records of species that had risen fast and vanished just as quickly. Patterns emerged. Wherever civilizations grew too confident, too loud, too visible, something eventually noticed. And then came silence. The envoy felt a chill as he understood the implication. You're saying the galaxy is prey, he said. No, the human replied. We are. The distinction hit hard. Humanity had not built the Titan to dominate neighbors. They had built it because existence itself had turned hostile. The diplomats watched as projections appeared across their displays. Simulations of human fleets engaging an unknown force. Every standard tactic failed. Energy weapons were absorbed. Kinetic strikes were ignored. Electronic warfare passed through the enemy like mist. Then the Titan entered the simulation. Everything changed. The enemy slowed. Its movements became cautious. For the first time, it reacted. The envoy's voice dropped. You fought this thing. And lived. Yes, the human said. But winning was never the goal. Then what was? To make sure it noticed us, the human answered. And chose not to return. Silence followed. The alien alliance had always believed visibility was power. Expansion meant survival. Influence meant safety. Humanity has learned the opposite lesson. They survived by hiding the knife behind their back. Outside the windows, the Titan began a new sequence. The diplomats felt it before they saw it. A deep vibration passed through every ship, rattling hulls and bones alike. Sensors flared with warnings. Energy readings spiked, not explosively, but smoothly, like a rising tide. What is happening now? An officer asked. Earth answered calmly. The Titan is transitioning from passive containment to demonstrative posture. That word, demonstrative, did not comfort anyone. The ship's outer hull shifted. Massive plates adjusted position, sliding aside with impossible precision. Beneath them lay structures the alien databases could not classify. Not weapons in the traditional sense. Not engines. Something else. Frameworks designed to interact with reality itself. A projection appeared before the diplomats. A marked zone of empty space far beyond Earth's orbit. No planets. No life. No traffic. A controlled demonstration will occur there, the human voice said. You will observe. The envoy wanted to refuse. He could not. The Titan did not aim. It did not charge a weapon. Instead, space within the marked zone began to distort. Light bent inward. Background radiation vanished. The stars behind it stretched into thin lines, then disappeared entirely. The diplomats watched as nothingness folded. Then, silence. Not an explosion. Not a shockwave. The zone simply ceased to exist. Sensors returned only static where space had been. What? Did you do it? Someone whispered. We removed it, the human replied. Briefly. Removed it from where? The envoy asked. Here, the human said. And everywhere else. The implication hit like a physical blow. The Titan was not destroying matter. It was denying reality. That was when fear spread beyond the fleet. Across the galaxy, emergency alerts triggered as distant observatories registered the anomaly. Academies froze lectures. Fleets halted maneuvers. Ancient species that had not spoken in centuries quietly closed their borders. The name, Titan class, began circulating in whispers. Older species reacted the strongest. Some recognized fragments of the technology. Not from records, but from myths. From warnings passed down without explanation. The envoy received a private transmission from the Alliance Council. Withdraw immediately, the message read. If possible. The envoy laughed weakly. If possible, he repeated. He turned back toward Earth. You have made your point, he said. Release us. Let us leave. The human voice did not answer at first. Then it spoke, slower now. There is something you must understand before you go. The Titan systems continued to hum, steady and patient. We did not activate this ship because you arrived, the human said. You were never the trigger. The envoy's stomach tightened. Then what was? A signal, the human replied. One we detected 3 days ago. A deep space transmission appeared on alien displays. Ancient, faint, almost invisible beneath cosmic noise. But its pattern matched the enemy from humanity's erased war. It is calling again, the human said. The diplomats felt the weight of that statement settle over them. You are waking this ship now, the envoy said slowly. Because you expect them to return. Yes. And if they do? The human voice carried something new then. Not anger. Not pride. Resolve. Then the galaxy will finally see, the human said, why we built Titans instead of empires. The Titan's internal lights shifted again, amber deepening toward white. Systems that had never been used began to align. The diplomats understood the truth far too late. This was not a warning display. This was preparation. Humanity had allowed itself to be underestimated for centuries because revealing its strength too early would attract the wrong attention. Now that attention has come anyway, and Earth was done hiding. The envoy stared at the massive warship one last time. "You're not asking for allies," he said. "No," the human replied. "What are you asking for?" The pause that followed felt endless. "Stay out of our way," the human said, "or stand behind us." The Titan's power output climbed again. Far beyond the system, something ancient began to stir, and the galaxy realized this was no longer about diplomacy. It was about survival. The first enemy fleet arrived without warning. No grand entrance. No broadcast. No declaration of war. They slipped into the outer edge of the Sol system like a shadow crossing a dim light, silent, precise, and utterly unconcerned with being seen. Human sensors detected them instantly. The Titan detected them before they crossed the threshold of known space. Inside the Titan's core, systems older than most civilizations adjusted themselves. Not hurried, not alarmed, just ready. On Earth, leaders gathered in silence. There were no speeches, no panic. Humanity had known this moment would come the day the Titan rose. They had hoped for more time. The alien diplomats felt it first. Their ships, still trapped by the Titan's containment field, began registering a new presence, one that did not bend space gently like the Titan did, but tore at it like claws through fabric. "What is that?" one officer whispered. Earth answered immediately. "That," the human voice said, "is what we were hiding from." The enemy fleet did not look like any known design. No clean lines, no symmetry. Their ships were jagged, layered, almost grown rather than built. Surfaces shifted and crawled, as if alive. Energy signatures bled into surrounding space, poisoning sensors and corrupting data. The diplomats realized something terrifying. These ships were not entering the system cautiously. They were hunting. The enemy fleet ignored the diplomatic ships completely, ignored Earth's outer defenses, ignored the Titan. They moved straight toward the inner system, toward the planet. The envoy shouted, "They don't fear you." "No," the human replied calmly. "They recognize us." The Titan moved. For the first time since its emergence, it advanced. Not fast, not dramatically, just enough. That single motion sent gravitational waves across the system. Asteroids shifted orbits. Dust clouds twisted into spirals. Several enemy ships hesitated, their formations breaking slightly, as if something deep within them sensed danger. The Titan did not fire. Instead, it spoke, not with sound, not with language, with force. A directed pressure rippled outward, subtle but overwhelming. Space compressed. Time staggered. The enemy fleet slowed. Not stopped. Slowed. "That was a warning," the human voice said. "Last one." The enemy responded instantly. Their ships unleashed weapons that did not resemble weapons. Sheets of distorted energy tore through space, shredding everything they touched. One blast passed close to the alien diplomatic fleet, and an escort ship vanished. No explosion, no debris. Just gone. The diplomats screamed. Earth's defenses activated. Human warships poured out from hidden orbits, deep space docks, and dark launch points near the sun. They were smaller than the Titan, but nothing like the outdated designs the galaxy expected. These ships moved with brutal coordination. No wasted motion. No hesitation. The first exchange was devastating. Human ships did not charge. They did not scatter. They formed layers, interlocking fields of fire and defense, sacrificing forward elements to expose enemy weaknesses. Several human ships were lost in seconds. No retreat. No panic. The diplomats watched in horror as humanity absorbed losses without breaking formation. "Why aren't they pulling back?" one alien officer cried. "Because," the human voice answered, "this is not a war to win." The Titan finally activated a true weapon. No beam. No projectile. A section of space in front of it collapsed inward, forming a controlled singularity, not a black hole, but something close enough to terrify anyone who understood physics. 3 enemy ships were pulled in. They fought it. They failed. The singularity closed. The enemy fleet reacted instantly, changing tactics, adapting faster than any species the galaxy had ever encountered. "That thing is learning," the envoy said in disbelief. Yes, the human replied. So are we. The battle spread across the system. Human ships fell, but each loss fed data back to the Titan. The enemy adapted, but so did the Titan. Each exchange sharpened its responses, refined its fields, optimized its control of reality itself. This was not brute force. This was evolution at weapon speed. The diplomats finally understood. The Titan was not just a ship. It was a memory, a record of everything humanity had faced, suffered, and survived, compressed into steel, math, and will. Then the enemy did something unexpected. They ignored the Titan again. A massive vessel, larger than the rest, peeled away from the fleet and plunged straight toward Earth. Its energy output spiked beyond anything seen before. It's going to strike the planet, someone shouted. Human fleets tried to intercept. They failed. The enemy vessel tore through defensive layers, shedding damage like skin, accelerating faster with every hit. Earth's cities lit up as planetary shields activated, powerful, but never tested against something like this. The diplomats watched, frozen. The Titan turned. Fully. Every system aligned. Every field is synchronized. For the first time, the Titan focused all its attention on a single target. The human voice spoke again, and for the first time, there was emotion in it. Enough. The Titan fired. What emerged was not light. It was absent. A corridor of erased reality stretched from the Titan to the enemy vessel. Space did not explode. It simply ceased to be where the weapon passed. The enemy ship vanished mid-charge. Not destroyed. Removed. The corridor closed behind it. Earth was safe. For now. Silence fell across the system. The remaining enemy ships halted. They did not retreat. They did not advance. They watched. Across the galaxy, sensors recorded the event. Scholars dropped to silence. Old empires awakened councils that had not met in millennia. The Titan had crossed a line. Not into aggression. Into myth. The alien diplomats felt something break inside them. They had come to manage humanity. They had just witnessed humanity defend the galaxy without asking permission. The human voice returned. This is why we hid, it said. Not because we feared you. The Titan's lights dimmed slightly, settling into a steady glow. But because if they saw us too early, the human continued, they would come sooner. The enemy fleet began to withdraw, slowly, carefully, never turning their backs on the Titan. They had learned. This time, the diplomats' ships were released. Engines returned. Navigation stabilized. They did not move. No one wanted to be the first to leave. The envoy finally spoke, voice unsteady. You're not just protecting Earth, he said. You're protecting all of us. Yes, the human replied. And what happens, the envoy asked, when they come back with more? There was a pause. Then the human answered. Then, the voice said, we stop hiding completely. Far beyond the system, the enemy's signal pulsed again, stronger than before. The Titan began powering deeper systems. And humanity prepared to remind the universe why it survived when so many others did not. The battle at Sol did not end when the enemy fleet withdrew. That was the mistake the galaxy almost made. Across known space, observers replayed the recordings again and again. Scholars argued. Admirals panicked. Old species that had survived by caution alone felt a familiar, ancient fear return to their bones. Because the enemy had not fled in chaos. They had withdrawn with intent. Inside the Titan, long-range systems tracked the retreating vessels far beyond normal sensor limits. The ship did not celebrate. It did not relax. Its internal state remained alert, focused, and alive. Human analysts confirmed what the Titan already knew. The enemy was signaling. Not for help. For coordination. On Earth, the truth was finally spoken openly among humanity's leaders. No secrecy. No denial. The time for hiding had passed the moment the Titan erased space itself. They are not a single force, one commander said quietly. They are a pattern. The diplomats, still orbiting Earth, listened in stunned silence as humanity revealed what it had never shared with anyone. The enemy was not an empire, not a civilization, not even a species in the way most understood it. It was a cycle. It appeared wherever intelligent life reached a certain threshold, enough energy use, enough expansion, enough noise to be noticed across deeper layers of reality. Then it arrived. It harvested technology, knowledge, and entire worlds. And when resistance appeared, it adapted. Humanity had survived only because it broke the cycle once, just enough to force hesitation. The Titan had not scared the enemy. It had made them careful. That was worse. The alien diplomats finally understood the weight of what they had witnessed. You didn't defeat them, the envoy said slowly. You delayed them. Yes, the human replied. That is all anyone has ever managed. Outside, the Sol system changed. Human fleets expanded their perimeter. Defensive platforms unfolded from hidden locations near the sun and the gas giants. Satellites that had masqueraded as research stations realigned into weapons arrays. The galaxy watched as Earth transformed, not into a conqueror, but into a fortress. And still, the Titan remained at the center, silent, watching. Then the first galactic consequence arrived. A major trade coalition announced an immediate rerouting of all shipping lanes away from human-controlled space. Not out of anger, out of fear. Others followed. Borders closed. Fleets withdrew from shared patrol zones. Old alliances fractured as species reconsidered what it meant to exist near humanity. Humanity did not respond. They did not threaten sanctions. They did not demand loyalty. They let the galaxy pull away. Because distance was exactly what humanity wanted. But not everyone fled. Some species remembered fragments of old warnings. Myths of a time when stars went dark for no reason. Civilizations erased so completely that even their names were lost. Those species sent messages. No demands. Requests. How do we survive? One message asked. The Titan intercepted them all and forwarded them to Earth. Humanity debated for hours. Some argued for silence. Helping others would increase visibility. Visibility invited attention. Others argued that the enemy would return regardless. In the end, the decision was made not by politicians, but by the Titan's command logic, built from centuries of human sacrifice. Selective disclosure. Humanity would not share weapons. They would share understanding. Across secure channels, humanity released partial data, enough to teach caution, restraint, and the danger of unchecked expansion. Grow quietly, the guide said. Do not burn bright. Do not announce yourselves. Many species listened. Some did not, and they paid the price first. The enemy returned weeks later. Not to Sol, to a distant system whose civilization had ignored the warnings and continued rapid expansion, broadcasting power and dominance across the void. The attack was swift. Human sensors detected it instantly. So did the Titan. But the Titan did not move. Humanity watched as a civilization burned. The diplomats were horrified. You could have saved them, the envoy said. Yes, the human replied, and taught the enemy where to look next. The choice was brutal and necessary. The galaxy began to understand something fundamental. Humanity was not cruel. Humanity was realistic. The enemy fleet did not linger. They harvested, adapted, and vanished again, stronger than before. Inside the Titan, projections updated. The enemy's tactics had shifted. Their resistance to reality denial effects had improved. Their ships moved more cautiously around gravitational anomalies. They are learning faster now, a human analyst said. Yes, the Titan systems confirmed. The gap between humanity and the enemy was narrowing again. That was when the Titan activated something it had never used before. A signal, not a weapon, not a broadcast, a call. Deep within the Titan's structure, systems aligned that had been dormant since its construction. Not designed to fight, but to reach. The signal did not travel through normal space. It moved through the same hidden layer the enemy used. Humanity held its breath. Minutes passed, then hours. Then a response came. Not from the enemy, from somewhere else. Something older. Something that had been silent for longer than recorded history. The Titan identified it instantly. Another construct. Another survivor. The diplomats felt the weight of that revelation crash over them. You're not the only ones, the envoy said. No, the human replied. We never were. Fragments of ancient transmissions aligned. Coordinates appeared, far beyond known space, beyond the reach of any modern fleet. The Titan had found others like it. Not allies, not friends, witnesses. Those who had survived the cycle long enough to build something that could resist it. Humanity had thought itself alone for centuries. They were not. The galaxy was no longer just afraid. It was hopeful. The Titan shifted position slightly, preparing for a jump no ship had ever attempted. Human fleets moved to support. Earth's final message to the diplomats was quiet. You came here to speak for the galaxy, the human voice said. Now you understand why we never did. The envoy nodded slowly. You don't want control, he said. You want time. Yes, the human replied. And if time runs out? The Titan's core brightened, not threatening, not proud, determined. Then, the human said, we become loud. Far beyond the stars, the enemy adjusted its trajectory. And for the first time in a very long time, it sensed resistance growing stronger instead of weaker. The enemy did not strike with fleets this time. That was how humanity knew the cycle had shifted. Across the deep sensors woven into the Titan's hull, patterns emerged that did not match any previous attack. No mass movement, no obvious approach, no concentration of force. Instead, the signals were scattered, small, precise disturbances appearing across dozens of systems at once. The enemy was no longer testing humanity. It was testing the galaxy. Inside the Titan, threat models updated rapidly. The enemy had learned a dangerous lesson at Sol. Confronting humanity directly drew attention, resistance, and adaptation. So they changed tactics. They stopped hunting out loud. They began hunting the quiet. Entire outlying colonies vanished overnight. No explosions. No debris. Just silence. Trade routes went dead. Listening posts reported nothing except a sudden absence where signals had always been. The diplomats watched the reports come in, one after another, their earlier fear replaced by something heavier. Guilt. They're doing this because of us, one officer said. Because you revealed yourselves. The human response was immediate. No, the voice said. They were always coming. The difference was timing. The Titan projected a map of known space, marking the lost systems in cold white. The pattern was unmistakable now, strategic, not random. They're pruning, a human analyst said, removing potential variables. The enemy was not harvesting technology anymore. They were shaping the battlefield. Humanity's leaders gathered again, but this time the meeting was different. There was no debate about secrecy, no discussion about restraint. The question was simple. Do we intervene openly? The Titan's systems simulated millions of outcomes. Every path carried loss. Every option revealed the same truth. The cycle could not be stopped quietly anymore. The diplomats listened as humanity argued, not about power, but responsibility. If we act everywhere, one commander warned, we draw their full attention. And if we don't, another replied, the galaxy bleeds out one system at a time. The Titan's core pulsed softly. Decision reached. Humanity would intervene, but not as an empire, not as conquerors, as something the galaxy had never seen before. A response network. The first move was subtle. Human fleets did not jump directly into threatened systems. Instead, the Titan seeded deep space beacons, devices invisible to normal sensors, tuned to the same hidden layer the enemy used. They did not block the enemy. They watched and learned. For the first time since the ancient war, humanity observed the enemy at work without being noticed. The enemy's ships did not travel through space as others did. They slipped between layers, emerging only long enough to strike. But every emergence left a trace, and the Titan remembered all of them. Then came the first rescue, a small world on the edge of known space. Young, quiet, technologically modest, triggered a faint distress call before going dark. The Titan reacted instantly, not with itself, with something new. Humanity dispatched a response group unlike any fleet the galaxy had ever seen. No banners, no markings, just compact, dark ships built for one purpose: interruption. They arrived seconds after the enemy, not ahead of them, behind them. The enemy vessels paused, confused for the first time in recorded observation. Human ships did not attack. They were disrupted. Fields bloomed around the enemy vessels, scrambling their ability to shift layers. For a brief, fragile moment, the enemy was forced fully into normal space. And there, they were vulnerable. The human ships struck fast and clean. No prolonged battle. No spectacle. The enemy vessels were disabled, captured inside containment fields designed by the Titan itself. The enemy did not scream. They adapted. But it was too late. The captured vessels vanished, removed from space entirely, pulled into Titan-controlled pockets where time and reality behaved differently. For the first time in the cycle's history, the enemy lost assets. Not destroyed. Taken. The galaxy felt it. Across multiple systems, enemy activity slowed. Patterns shifted. Attacks became cautious again. They didn't expect capture, the envoy said quietly. No, the human replied. No one ever tried. Inside the Titan, analysis began. The captured constructs were not ships in the traditional sense. They were extensions, probes grown from a deeper intelligence. Studying them was dangerous, but necessary. The Titan isolated the intelligence fragments carefully, peeling back layers of behavior, logic, and intent. What it found changed everything. The enemy was not a single mind. It was a convergence. A distributed survival mechanism born in a universe older than this one, designed to prevent unchecked complexity from destabilizing reality itself. Life that grew too fast threatened the structure of existence. So the cycle culled it, not out of malice, out of function. Humanity stared at the conclusion in silence. We're not fighting invaders, one analyst said. We're fighting maintenance. The diplomats felt the weight of that realization crush their certainty. You're saying the universe itself is hostile to us, the envoy said. No, the human replied. Indifferent. The Titan refined its models again. Total victory was impossible, but the influence was not. If the enemy could be forced to reconsider what constituted a threat, the cycle could be bent. Not broken, bent. Humanity changed strategy. They stopped hiding entirely. Across the galaxy, carefully chosen interventions began. Human response groups appeared where the enemy struck hardest, never staying long, never escalating too far. Just enough to disrupt. Just enough to raise the cost. The enemy adapted, but so did humanity. Each encounter fed the Titan more data. Each captured fragment refined its understanding of the cycle's limits. Then the enemy responded in a new way. They struck a human world. Not Earth. A distant colony, long abandoned publicly but still inhabited quietly. The attack was precise, brutal, and personal. Human losses were heavy. For the first time since Sol, the Titan's core output spiked sharply. Anger was not part of its design. Resolve was. The Titan moved, not to Earth's defense, but outward. Human fleets followed, forming behind it like shadows cast by a rising sun. The galaxy watched in silence as the Titan jumped, crossing distances no ship should cross, entering regions no map contained. The diplomats realized they were witnessing something irreversible. You're going to confront them directly, the envoy said. Yes, the human replied. And if that fails? The Titan's lights brightened, steady and unwavering. Then, the human said, we changed the rules they were built to protect. The enemy sensed it. Across the hidden layer, disturbances rippled as something vast approached. Not a challenge, not a declaration. A correction. For the first time since the cycle began, humanity was no longer reacting. It was advancing, and the universe itself began to pay attention. The region the Titan entered did not exist on any star map. There were no names for it. No trade routes. No ancient borders. Civilizations avoided it instinctively, the way life avoids poisoned ground without knowing why. Sensors failed there. Navigation drifted. Even light behaved strangely, stretching and thinning as if unsure it should continue. Humanity called it the deep quiet. The enemy had always come from here. The Titan emerged without hesitation. Human fleets followed at a distance, careful not to mirror its jump exactly. The Titan alone could survive the transition cleanly. Everything else relied on the space it stabilized behind it. Inside the Titan, systems reached a state never intended to be permanent. Full convergence. This was not combat mode. This was truth mode. The diplomats watched from afar, their ships now little more than observers clinging to the edge of comprehension. Their sensors barely functioned, but what little data came through was enough to unsettle even the bravest among them. There was no enemy fleet waiting, no armada, no guardians, just vast structures drifting in the dark, impossibly large, fractured shapes that resembled neither machines nor worlds. They pulsed faintly, synchronized across distances that should have made coordination impossible. The Titan identified them instantly. Cycle nodes, the core of the system that governed the harvests. Humanity had never seen them directly before. Only echoes. Only consequences. Now they are here. The enemy responded at last. Not with weapons. With communication. The signal that reached the Titan was ancient beyond language, stripped down to purpose and function. The Titan translated it into something humanity could understand. Complexity exceeds tolerance. Stability threatened. Correction required. The words were cold. Not cruel. Not angry. Mechanical inevitability. The diplomats felt something inside them collapse. This isn't a war, the envoy whispered. It's enforcement. Yes, the human replied. And enforcement can be challenged. The Titan advanced. As it did, the deep quiet reacted. Space resisted. Not violently, but stubbornly, like a system rejecting foreign code. The Titan did not push harder. It adapted. Fields shifted. Internal architectures realigned. The ship changed how it existed, not where. That was the first shock to the cycle nodes. For the first time in their history, something approached them without triggering a purge response. Humanity had not arrived as prey. It had arrived as a variable. The nodes reacted, emitting waves of corrective force, patterns designed to collapse complexity, to simplify existence by erasure. The Titan absorbed the first wave, not by blocking it, by understanding it. Inside the Titan, layers of human thought, math, philosophy, sacrifice, failure, interlocked into something the enemy had never encountered. Choice. The Titan responded, not with destruction, but with projection. It showed the nodes humanity's history, not the wars, not the victories, the losses, extinct cities, abandoned colonies, names that no longer had worlds attached to them. Humanity did not hide its pain. It offered it. We adapt without consuming, the projection said. We grow with restraint. We correct ourselves. The nodes hesitated. That hesitation rippled through the enemy's entire structure. They were built to respond to growth that did not stop. Humanity had stopped itself, again and again, at terrible cost. That behavior did not fit the cycle. A second wave followed, stronger, sharper. Human fleets braced, shields flaring. The Titan stepped forward. Not defensively, protectively. The wave broke against its fields and dispersed, redirected into harmless noise. The nodes changed strategy. They reached outward, across the hidden layer, accelerating harvests elsewhere, hoping to force the Titan to choose between confrontation and reaction. Humanity had expected this. For the first time, they did not chase. Instead, humanity transmitted across every open channel in the galaxy. Not commands. Warnings. Slow down, the message said. Now, some civilizations listened. Others did not. Those who listened felt the pressure ease. Enemy activity near them diminished, retarget toward louder, faster systems. The cycle adjusted. Then the Titan did something no one expected. It shut down weapons. All of them. Human fleets gasped. The diplomats shouted in protest. You're disarming in front of them, the envoy said. No, the human replied. We're redefining the threat. The Titan opened itself. Not physically, conceptually. It allowed the nodes to analyze it fully, its power, its design, its capacity to end systems if unleashed. The nodes calculated and found something impossible. If the Titan were destroyed, humanity would not escalate. They would withdraw. They would hide again. The cycle would continue. But if the Titan remained, humanity would change the rules slowly, patiently, across millennia. Not through dominance. Through survival without excess. The nodes hesitated longer this time. For the first time since the cycle began, they encountered something that did not seek to escape correction, but to negotiate it. A third signal came from the nodes. Exception detected. Assessment required. The Titan replied with its final offer. Let us exist loudly when needed. Let us be quiet when not. We will regulate ourselves. The silence that followed felt heavier than battle. Then, across the deep quiet, structures began to shift. Some nodes powered down, entering dormant states. Others repositioned, moving farther from populated regions of space. The cycle did not end, but it slowed. Dramatically. Across the galaxy, enemy activity dropped. Harvests ceased mid-operation. Entire fleets vanished, not destroyed, but recalled. The diplomats felt tears in eyes not built for them. You did it, the envoy whispered. You made them stop. No, the human replied. We made them wait. The Titan turned slowly, its purpose altered forever. It would remain here, not as a weapon, but as a boundary condition. A reminder. Human fleets began to withdraw, returning to guard worlds still learning how to survive quietly. The galaxy exhaled for the first time in centuries. Before the Titan jumped back toward known space, it sent one final transmission. This one meant for every civilization capable of receiving it. We are not your rulers, the message said. We are not your shield. But we have proven the cycle can be resisted. The diplomats understood then. Humanity was no longer hiding, and it was no longer alone. The Titan vanished into folded space. Behind it, the deep quiet remained quiet. For now, and the universe adjusted, uneasily, to a future where extinction was no longer automatic. The galaxy changed slowly. That was how humanity wanted it. There was no announcement declaring victory, no parade of fleets, no new flags planted across the stars. The Titan's return from the deep quiet was not celebrated publicly at all. Most species never even saw it arrive. They only felt the difference. Trade routes reopened without fear. Long silent systems began transmitting again. Entire regions of space, once cursed by sudden disappearances, settled into uneasy stability. The cycle had not ended, but it had paused. And for the first time in galactic history, that pause was deliberate. The Titan took its place far from Earth, not hidden, but not central. It remained visible only to those who knew where to look. Its presence was constant, patient, and watchful. A reminder. Humanity dismantled nothing. That alarmed many. Old empires expected the Titans to become the core of a new order. A human-led hierarchy enforced by impossible power. Councils waited for demands that never came. Instead, humanity withdrew. Human fleets reduced patrols. Defensive platforms powered down to standby. Earth closed more borders than it opened. To some, it looked like fear. To those who understood, it was discipline. The diplomats returned home changed. They spoke carefully now, no longer with authority, but with warning. Their reports were direct and unsettling. Humanity does not seek dominance, the envoy told the council. They seek balance, and they are willing to burn alone to preserve it. Some laughed. Others remembered the silence of erased space and did not. Civilizations split in response. Some accelerated growth anyway, believing the Titan had made the universe safe at last. They expanded fast, loud, and bright. They did not last. The cycle did not ignore them completely. It corrected them. Humanity did not intervene. And the galaxy learned, painfully, that the Titan was not a promise of rescue. It was proof of possibility. Others listened. They slowed expansion, reduced energy signatures, turned inward. They learned restraint not as weakness, but as survival. Those civilizations endured. Over decades, then centuries, a new understanding spread, not through decree, but through observation. Humanity was not the strongest species. They were the most patient. On Earth, the Titan became legend before it became history. Children learned about it not as a warship, but as a choice humanity once made when extinction seemed inevitable. A choice to survive without becoming what hunted them. A choice to carry the burden alone until others were ready to understand. Humanity did not build more Titans. That truth unsettled many observers. You have the knowledge, the envoy once asked during a final visit. Why not ensure your dominance forever? The human answer was quiet. Because dominance attracts correction. The Titan remained singular, unique, irreplaceable, and mortal. Humanity never forgot that. Years later, long enough for memory to soften but not fade, a signal pulsed through the deep quiet again. Not an attack, not a warning, a question. The cycle had adjusted, learned, calculated new tolerances. The nodes observed humanity from a distance, measuring restraint, adaptation, and cost. The Titan received the signal first. Inside its ancient systems, decision frameworks aligned, human thought and machine logic intertwined beyond separation. The response was simple. Humanity had not expanded uncontrollably, had not conquered neighbors, had not reshaped the galaxy into an empire. They had stayed and endured. The nodes recalibrated. Not fully, but enough. The harvest threshold shifted. Life was allowed more time. Across the galaxy, civilizations that had never known fear of extinction felt something new take root. Hope. Not naive hope. Measured hope. The Titan did not celebrate. It remained where it was, its systems humming softly, its fields gently pressing back against the deep quiet. A living boundary. A reminder that intelligence could choose restraint over excess. Power over panic. Sacrifice over domination. The diplomats, older now, returned one final time to Earth. The envoy stood beneath Earth's sky, looking up at stars no longer quite so threatening. You changed the universe, he said. No, the human replied. We changed ourselves. And if the cycle decides to push again? The envoy asked. The human smiled, not proudly, not defiantly, patiently. Then we will meet it, they said. Not as prey, not as conquerors. The Titan's distant silhouette shimmered faintly against folded space, steady and unyielding. But as proof, the human finished, that survival does not require erasure. The envoy nodded. That was the truth the galaxy had taken centuries to learn. Humanity was not the loudest species, not the oldest, not the most numerous. But when extinction arrived without warning, humanity did not scream. They built, they waited, they endured. And when the universe itself demanded correction, humanity answered.